Let's talk about the topics that adult children must bring up with their parents if they want to save hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. And you don't need to be ultra high net worth for this to be important. If you are middle class or upper middle class, these topics are absolutely crucial. And of course, if you're high net worth, it's even more crucial. So what are some of the key topics? If you're an adult child, what do you need to talk to your parents about? If at all possible, we recognize not all families, this is possible, but if you have that decent relationship with your parents, you have to bring this up. And again, when we frame this, it should not be about, hey, mom and dad, I want you, how can we save everything for me? It should much be more, it has to be framed around legacy. I think it's about saving what mom and dad have worked so hard for the adult child generation, but also for future generations, for kids, for grandkids, for great grandkids. We live in a very uncertain world. I think everybody's worried that artificial intelligence is going to take their job, or there's instability in the government, or the world's going to be a very chaotic place, and it is. And who knows what the economic future is going to be. So preserving family assets and minimizing those tax hits is crucial, because taxes, that's money out the window. You get nothing back for it. When you're paying higher taxes, in theory, maybe it serves better government services, but we all see that in California. More taxes does not mean better government services. State taxes. So the current state tax exemption is $12.92 million per person. For a couple, that's over $25 million right now that you can pass tax free. So if you're ultra high net worth, your parents are, you got to talk about that, because we can save millions of dollars with estate tax planning. But even if you're not at that level, estate tax laws change over time, and the exemption set to drop on January 1st, 2026. It'll be cut in half. So it'll probably be around 6.5, 7 million per person. You don't know what mom and dad necessarily have. If you just own a house in the Bay Area or Los Angeles or San Diego, the house alone could get you close to the limit for a single person. If the limit, the estate tax exemption is around 6 million, 7 million a person, a house in some areas, especially with inflation and home values rising, that alone could be estate tax issues. And do mom and dad really want a big chunk of what they work so hard for to go to the IRS, or would they rather it stay in the family? Family protection trust is a no-brainer for most families. It's a form of a dynasty trust. It's just we've created where mom and dad don't leave a penny to a child. They leave it to a family protection trust for that child. If you haven't talked to your parents about this, we have many adult clients who will actually pay for mom and dad to create family protection trust for them. Why? Well, there's 3 big benefits. If you've seen our other talks, you know what these are. But by leaving assets to a family protection trust rather than to a child directly, there's a big protection in case you, the adult child, ever gets divorced. The assets you inherit are in a totally separate subject. They shouldn't be lost in a divorce settlement. 2, if you're ever sued, there's a barrier. It makes it much harder for someone going after your money to get the money in that trust. If you inherit directly, there's no protections. And 3, estate taxes. All or most of the assets in a family protection trust, plus the growth during your life in the value of those assets, it's not part of your taxable estate. So that's for your kids, or hey, the grandkids. What about the idea when we're talking about these tax and asset protection issues, framing it around the grandkids rather than around, if you're the adult child, maybe that's a really good strategy, right? To make this less seemingly selfish.
Well, I think that's right. Yeah, the ultimate beneficiaries of dynasty trusts really are the grandkids, because it dramatically increases the likelihood that assets you leave your kids are going to be safe, protected, and grow without exposure to that 40% estate tax. I mean, it's punishing. So, yeah, multi-generational isn't just parent and child. We want to look to as many generations as we can.
Yeah, and if you've seen our talks, Prop 19. Okay, we're probably California's Prop 19 attorneys at this point. I hope we are. But you need to be aware of this. Prop 19 is a new law passed in 2021, and it's not the subject of this talk, but it doesn't affect parents. It affects the next generation. And if you don't do planning, the family home might be lost. The rental might be lost, because Prop 19 without planning means that property taxes for anything you've owned for a long time could spike up by 100%, 200%. We've seen some families where they could go up by 1,000% or more, like 30, 40, 50, $60,000 per year in property tax increases. We can prevent that if we work together. If you're the adult child, you're the one who's going to save the money, not mom and dad. So, hey, maybe you bring mom and dad in, but you should at least talk to them about it. Hey, mom and dad, how important is it to you that we preserve these properties you work so hard for? So it's about saving that family home for the kids, the grandkids. And again, that's a wonderful way to frame it. Mom and dad, it's not about saving property taxes. How can we keep the family home? These topics really affect us more than mom and dad in many cases. So it's on us sometimes to bring these up. But again, it should not just be about us. It shouldn't be about how much am I going to get. It's about preserving mom and dad's goals and dreams and preserving their legacy for future generations. And maybe make it about the grandkid, because grandkids, everybody loves grandkids, sometimes more than the kids. And if you want to meet with us, very easy to do it. Gilfix.com, 650-493-8070. Please spread the word, subscribe to our channel, comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment. Let us give us a question there as well. As my mom likes to say, hope everybody stays safe, sane, and healthy. Mike, any final thoughts?
Let's be sane and talk and embrace the good things that are going on in our lives.
Absolutely. Well, take care, everybody. We will see you next time.